Our episode begins with the blonde girl saying that she was going to move the car by herself. Ikikawa asks who she is after seeing her throw the car like it was nothing into another parking space. She replies to Ikikawa saying that she is candidate number 2016 and her name is Kikaru Shinomiya, and her hobby was murdering kaiju. Ikikawa wonders about her name. Kikaru says that Kafka's old man smells like kaiju. Ikikawa tries to explain by saying that they work in kaiju disposal, so they smell like a kaiju. Kikaru asks what the two cleaners were doing there. But at that moment, Kafka turned the firm's car around and put it in place properly. Kikaru was startled to think that Kafka had a special costume too. And Kafka introduced himself, saying he was candidate 2032, and his name was Kafka Hibino. Kafka makes it very clear for the girl to remember him. Until a guy arrived and took Kafka's seat while they were talking, he saw that he was a butler and thought he was very proactive. Kikaru thought the exam would just be a formality, but it looks like it's going to be fun. Kafka doesn't quite understand what she means, but she wanted to put Kafka in his place. Then she calls Sabasu, her butler, to accompany her. Ikikawa is angry with Kafka because he had arrived in less than 5 minutes and had already used his powers. Kafka asks if Ikikawa didn't think it was cool that he only transformed the part that couldn't be seen. For Ikikawa, that's not the problem. The guards hear a noise and ask if anything has happened. Kafka says it was nothing and everything is in order. The guards tell them to get going. Ikikawa tells Kafka that the next time he pulls another one of those stunts, he'll send him home. Kafka had already given up once, but this was his last chance to be by her side. Ikikawa and Kafka go there to take the entrance test. Kafka won't give up if the cow coughs. Then we see some young people crawling on the ground as part of the accompaniment. Kafka was frustrated because he couldn't keep up. He had kept training by force of habit, and his workload was heavy every day. The second phase of the competition was divided into 2 parts, one of athletics and the other an aptitude test. The aptitude test is that thing, you either have it or you don't. Kafka thinks it's best to get the best marks he can in the physical test. They start to barbell and Kafka says that he used to be below average, but gets frustrated wondering if this is what it's like when you turn 30. Everyone starts running and Kafka stays behind, wondering what would happen if he used his kaiju power. After finishing the race, we see that he is in position 219 with 225 participants, while Kikaru is in 5th place. And she makes fun of him, saying that it didn't take him long to show off after all. And he starts to cry, remembering what he said before, and asks her to forget his name, and she leaves. Ikikawa approaches him and is happy that he didn't use his kaiju power in the test, and Kafka comments that it wouldn't be fair to do something like that to all the participants who came here to take the test just like him, but he thinks it would just be a nice thing to say and that he would like to use it. We change scenes with one of the instructors showing the paper of the test results, and our protagonist's childhood friend looks at some of them and looks at Kafka's paper. Ikikawa comments that the first person who caught his eye was Izumo, and that he came second in the physical test, and in 3rd place there's Furuhashi, winning an arm wrestling match with one of the participants, and in 1st place there's Aoi Kaguragi. And Kikaru had drawn the most attention of all of them, and that she is the greatest talent to have emerged to date. Kikaru approaches Kafka to mock him, and he quickly grabs her to tell her she's amazing. But the guards intercept and start beating him. Kafka says he's going to embarrass her too, as she walks away with a smug smile, but he doesn't know how to do it. Ikikawa appears to help him, holding out his hand to him, saying that the test has been kaiju corpse disposal, and says that this is exactly why he chose kaiju disposal as his part-time job. Changing scenery to Area 2 of the test, the vice captain, Hoshina, introduces himself, saying that he will be this year's instructor, and opens the gate, saying that their task will be to neutralize all of them, leaving Ikikawa and Kafka shocked. Suddenly, one of the kaijus starts to run towards Hoshina to attack, but some pillars on the gate start to appear quickly and trap the kaiju in the gate. Kafka asks Ikikawa if they weren't just going to dismantle the Kaijus, crying. The instructor says he can't send them out without anything in their hands and that they'll be wearing these special outfits. The suit begins to fit the participants' bodies perfectly, and Hoshina explains that the suit greatly multiplies the wearer's combat power. We see that the combat power emitted by Ikikawa is 8%, Izumo is 18%, Aoi Kaguragi is 15%, and Furuhashi is 14%, and we see that Kikuru's is much higher than the others, with an emitted power of 46%, with Hoshina saying that she is already at the level of a platoon captain. Ikikawa is sad that he has 8% and Hoshina asks him not to worry, he should only worry if he has 0% combat power, and we see that Kafka Hibino has 0% combat power released. And Hoshina starts making fun of him for taking 0%, saying that this old man is hilarious, and Kikuru asks him to quickly demonstrate the power he saw in the parking lot and is losing patience with. Hoshina arrives and decides to start the final test. We change scenery to the test site, full of rubble, and Hoshina explains that their target is the Hanju and the 36 Yaju. He says that these Kaijus caused around 16 deaths in Hakioji, and he asks them to stay calm, as they will be tracked with drones to monitor their actions. And he explains that if the drone shoots to save their lives, it means they've been eliminated, until Hoshina releases everyone to move forward to attack. Everyone starts running and Kikuru scales a building and runs into it. She quickly shoots 2 Yaju, killing them quickly. We switch to Kafka, trying to drag out the gun and saying that only he, number 0, understands what this is like, and Ikikawa asks him not to say it like he's a nice guy. Until Hoshina talks to them, saying that Ashino has also come to watch their test, and Kafka realizes this, wanting to be the best of them all, saying that this is his last chance. Kafka comments that the drones serve not only to save them, but to adapt to the changing environment, and says that they should provide support in the best possible way. They see the 2 of them shooting and go towards them for support, and Kafka notices the Kaiju's hooves in their hands. Kafka starts running towards the Kaiju and throws a stun grenade at the Kaiju, and explains that it has poor eyesight but much better hearing. He then asks the participants to shoot the Kaiju in the stomach. They start shooting, and the Kaiju suddenly explodes, falling to the ground. As Ikikawa and Kafka advanced, Ashino watched them on the monitor. Kafka tells Ikikawa as he runs that he's known the Kaiju for a long time, and thinks he can do it and won't need to use his Kaiju power to deal with them. Ikikawa asks them to continue like this, but before he could notice, another Kaiju suddenly appeared, hitting Kafka full on, making him bleed and throwing him away from the arena. The Yaju that attacked him begins to slowly approach him, while Kafka complains that he is feeling a lot of pain and thinks that this is bad, since they are going to turn on the shield. Kafka tries to get up, thinking he can't embarrass himself in front of his friend, while they start to activate the remote shield, until someone suddenly shoots the Kaiju from afar, saving Kafka from being eliminated. We see that it's Kikuru, saying that it's the 3rd time he's been embarrassed now, and says that when she's in action, no one can give up on the test. And she makes fun of him, telling him to lie there while she kills all the other Kaijus, calling him a loser. One of the participants wonders if the power issued makes such a difference to someone's fighting power. And Kafka tries to get up, saying that he can fight too, but he can't, seeing that his leg is broken. Hoshina draws Kafka's attention to the fact that his vital points are irregular and there are probably many fractures, and perhaps vital organs have been hit. Kafka wonders if he should give up, but he doesn't want to, until he remembers his combat power, seeing that he has 0%, thinking that he'll never be able to stand next to Ashino. While he imagines his squad mates running ahead of him, overtaking him, saying that people with talent always get through. Hoshina explains that since he's an examiner, he recommends that he give up the test, saying that even shields aren't perfect. But Kafka says that he will decide whether or not to give up the test. But Kafka thinks he's too old to dream, until he impresses Hoshina, and Kafka starts to get up little by little, but with a lot of effort. He knows he looks like an idiot, but he's decided to gamble everything he's experienced so far and follow his dreams again. Until we see that he has increased his combat power a little from 0% to 1%, and shouts to everyone, saying that this time he won't give up, whatever the cost, staring at the monitor with Ashino watching everything from the other side.